It must have been quite something, being by his side, being at that court appearance. We could see how emotional, the toll it's taken on him.
Well, it was. Funny, I was sitting right behind Cliff in the court, and I'd never been to a court hearing before, and I'd certainly never been to a judgment. And I sort of expected, I mean, when the judge sort of said that Cliff had won the case, I sort of expected, like, something, like that or, you know, a sort of an immediate reaction of joy. But in fact, quite the opposite. I was quite surprised. He was extremely emotional. I mean, I think it'll take a while to actually seep in that this is over.
Do you think he'll ever get over it?
I was talking to him last night and I said, how are you feeling, you know, after a day now of sort of having won the case? And he said, you know, Glo, I don't think I'll ever be quite the same again. I don't think I'll ever be able to stop talking, not only to my friends, but inside my head. The amount of time that the police waste sometimes in pursuing false allegations, and as Cliff and Paul Gambaccini and other people who've been through it, it's a very simple analogy in my head anyway, that the accuser and the accused are not named until the police have done a proper investigation and actually made a charge. And then, of course, you know, like in the Savile cases or Rolf Harris, other cases will come forward because the journalists can then say a charge has been made against so-and-so. But I think it's really unfair that when people have made false allegations that they're not even named. And yet it's cost the country money, it's cost the police a lot of time and money.
You say it's wrong to face false allegations. I suppose the point is we don't know they're false allegations until they're proved to be false.
But that's the point.
And there's been many people who have been identified because they've been named. Others have come forward and had the courage to. If you wait until someone's charged, it relies on one person having the strength to come forward and fight that battle alone.
But it just means that the police have done a thorough investigation and have identified the fact that there is a charge to be made. And then, of course, the press are absolutely at liberty to do whatever they want to do, and then people will naturally come forward. It's a question of releasing the information when it has been properly decided. I mean, as in Cliff's case, as I understand it, it was quite some time before the police really started to investigate the nitty-gritty of the accusation. So there's time and lots of money, and the police have so much to do that you don't want to waste any of their time. You want to go after the cases that may lead to a proper charge. And I think it's unfair that when false allegations are made, that, you know, these people just sit in their armchair and they put, in Cliff's case, we're talking about Cliff's case, put him through 4 years of torture without any kind of truth to it. But I think, you see, what has happened yesterday is a landmark case, and I think it will change the law to a degree. It will change how people look at it, perhaps, and I think that really the authorities need to investigate, maybe to speed it up so that you get to a proper charge, a legitimate charge, sooner. But, you know, we've had so much time wasted. I mean, I remember Cliff being absolutely frustrated by the fact that the investigation into the allegation seemed to go on and on and on and on.
And how about the prospect then that the BBC might appeal, which would sort of drag it out even longer for him, wouldn't it?
Well, this is only my opinion, but when you read, I took the document from the court yesterday, and when you read how the judge phrased that and how he made his decision, I mean, I don't see, it's only my opinion, of course, but I don't see how the BBC could actually challenge his decision on the privacy. You've got to remember that Cliff did not attack on freedom of the press. That was not the issue. It was the privacy law, and that's what he won on, and that's what the judge made a very hard and definitive judgment on it. And it turned out to be the largest payout in a privacy case to date in this country.
He has said, hasn't he, when people have said, should heads roll, he said, well, if people do lose their jobs, maybe they deserve to, or words to that effect. Who do you think really has to bear the brunt?
Well, I'm not really an authority to say that. I mean, I work for the BBC. I love the BBC as a corporation. And Cliff was very, very forceful in saying, I'm not attacking the BBC per se.
No.
He's subsequently given interviews about his music and everything to BBC. But, of course, there are some people at the top who took that decision to send that helicopter up. And I'm of a certain age, and I have never in all my life seen a camera go through a window into somebody's home and watch the police raiding through drawers and so on. I've never seen that. And I hope I don't see it again. And from Cliff's point of view, of course, that invasion of his privacy, I mean, he felt totally violated. He only went into that apartment again for 5 minutes and then sold the apartment, indeed at a loss, because they couldn't bear the thought that it had been sorted
Talking
through.
about the consequences, I mean, one thing that was struck me watching the ITV News interview with him was he talked about how he's scared to even go near children now as a consequence.
Well, of course, because you don't know 5 years down the line, you know, somebody's going to produce a photograph, and there you were sort of hugging my son. And so, unfortunately...
So do you think he's scared that more people will come forward with other false allegations?
I have to say, and again, I can only speak for myself, Cliff is one of the most honourable people I've ever met in my life. And from the very beginning, in my soul, I just knew that he hadn't done any wrong. And I don't think he's scared at all, but I do think he is worried that if he is seen hugging children or boys or whatever, that maybe down the line, some of these will come back to bite him in the bum as such. So it's been a really tough time for him. And I agree when he said last night he doesn't think he'll ever be quite the same again. You can't get rid of that out of your head.